Welcome
This is Quest Unscripted,
a vlog series on trending topics
and Quest solutions related to Active Directory.
Office 365.
Oh, and don't forget Azure AD.
You are here because you have questions.
We're here because we have answers.
I think.
We will address questions we've received from customers.
Experience the same challenges as you.
All with the goal of helping you confidently move,
Manage.
And secure
your Microsoft environment.
We call the show Quest Unscripted because
except for this intro.
nothing we say is scripted or rehearsed.
And we're pretty sure you'll notice that right away.
Hey folks, this is Kazwan Kairi, and I'm joined by Brian Patton with Quest. And Brian, I can't remember when we had the last discussion about what's new in Change Auditor 7.1, but one of the things that was mentioned was NTLM authentication, NTLM version 1, version 2, capturing of events. One thing that came to my mind and I want to ask you about is, can you talk to us a little about how noisy is this going to be, and how do we prevent that noise from happening so that we still see value in auditing these type of events?
Well, hopefully it's not very noisy for NTLM version 1, but that will vary environment by environment. So my recommendation, by default, the event is disabled. We can enable the event, check to see if there is any NTLM version 1 activity. And if there is, we can kind of get that source and hopefully remediate, because you should not be using NTLM version 1 in your environment. Now, if you go a period of time, there's no activity, I would recommend sending alerts. If you ever do see any activity, you can be aware of it. But if you start seeing some activity on NTLM version 1, I would pause it after a little while, because it may be generating an enormous amount of data, and then remediate, and then go back and turn on and see if all the different problems have been remediated.
Okay. We all know about, Change Auditor purging capabilities and purge jobs. How does that fit into this picture?
Well, it all depends on the value of the different data you're looking at. So let's say you did the latest version of Change Auditor for Logon, and you're auditing all NTLM version 1 and version 2. You may expect big database size growth if those events were enabled, which they are not by default. So if you had them enabled and you forgot about it for a little while, your SQL size is going to start having high growth if you are in fact using those different protocols. So if you decide that you want to clean that up and do a purge job, let's say it's been about a month and your database size has grown by 20 gig. Well, just because you purge it doesn't mean your database size is going to go down, because there's going to be all the different white space within the SQL server. So you may have to work with your DBA to actually reclaim that space if space becomes an issue.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this then. So the events are by default disabled. We just talked about purge jobs. Can I set up a purge job before I enable these events, so that as soon as I enable these events, I get a day, 2 days, whatever the threshold I want to see to capture where these authentications are coming from. And then I don't have to worry about purging anything, but then I will get the information and I will go and remediate. So I guess the question is, purge jobs before or after enabling the events?
You could definitely set it up before or immediately after you've enabled the event, and see how big the volume starts occurring within that. But the one thing I would keep in mind, if you are generating a lot more activity because you are using the NTLM authentication, you may need to consider your hardware requirements. For example, if you're deploying this out to all different servers and it's an enormous amount of data, you would definitely want to make sure your coordinators are adequately spec'd out.
Okay, here's the last question that I know nobody asked before. So how would IT security search data warehouse come into play in this? Can it be of help from a noise reduction in the amount of data that we may possibly get from enabling these events?
Well, it can help out on the searchability later if we have a chance to be able to index it with an IT security search, removing it from a more expensive data source such as Microsoft SQL into IT security search. It could be a better together story, but keep in mind, you still need to rate the value of the different data. If it's not very valuable to you, you may not want to keep it whatsoever. So just keep that in mind.
Cool. Well, I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thanks.